Franz Wagner is putting the team on his back. Today we're going to be talking about the amazing 26-footer that he hit to win the game against the Lakers last night. And why are the Magic streaking? Why are they able to stay afloat with Paolo Banchero out with his oblique injury? And hint, of course, it's going to be Franz Wagner because he's absolutely tearing the league up. We're going to be talking about also his potential, how high he can rise this year. Guys, the Magic are so up, and thank you so much for clicking on this video. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. It is the easiest and best way to support the channel here at Magic Digest. And, it's nice to be a part of the family and the community here on YouTube that we're trying to build. Okay, let's take a look at the stats from last night. Obviously, Paolo Banchero is out. Wendell Carter Jr. missed his 10th straight game, but pretty much the usual suspects are back and still in action. Franz Wagner, 37 points. He's been averaging about 32 points over the last handful of games. I would say about 5, 6, 7 games. Since we've really started to take off and win, he's been averaging over 30 points per game. Jalen Suggs with 23 points. Lots of threes. Overall shooting probably could have been a little bit better, but still took a lot of threes, and that was probably why he was 7-18 from the field. Tristan da Silva, 12 points, 32 minutes. The 32 minutes part is probably the biggest portion of it. And Mo Wagner, 19 points off the bench. Now, his plus-minus wasn't all that great, but hey, that's a bit of a flawed stat, even as is. 7 of 13 from the field. Anthony Black did not play very well in the game, but it was still able to get 5 assists and be a floor general. Let's go take a look at the other side of the box score. The Los Angeles Lakers, AD, LeBron James, and then it's everybody else. Dalton Connect having a pretty decent year so far. He had 17 points and shot pretty decently from the field and from three. But outside of that, pretty much zero production anywhere else. The Orlando Magic extend their, not their win streak. They get back in the winning column, I should say, of course, because they lost the other night to the Clippers. But they're now 7-3 in their last 10 games. Now, obviously, those 10 games are without Wendell Carter Jr., and they have now risen back into the Eastern Conference standings. Last time we talked, they were third. Right now, they're fourth, just because they're a game back in the loss column to the New York Knicks. But they're tied because they're also a game ahead in the win column. But 7-0 at home, and they're going to go play at home again in the following game, going against the Pistons. The Magic look amazing, and Franz Wagner looks even better. Let's talk about why he has been so good. The shot is falling. The outside shot is there. The offense is still moving, even without Paolo Banchero, and he is looking confident. He is looking like one of the best players in the Eastern Conference. I don't want to say NBA just yet, but he's looking like a bona fide all-star. If you guys have tuned into the Locked On Magic podcast by Philip Rossman-Reich, I often recommend watching what he puts out because obviously great and works at the site at OrlandoMagicDaily.com. He has been saying that Franz is headed to San Francisco. He is continuously has said that he is going to be an all-star this year. I completely agree. I'll go a step further, and if this part of the season, maybe it's extended, maybe it's 10, 15, 20 more games, continues, he will be an all-NBA selection. And that is, without a doubt, a guarantee in my mind. Because the way that he's playing right now is the number one on a second round, I would say, playoff team. Because I don't know if this team can touch the Celtics. And then, obviously, the Cleveland Cavaliers have, shot out the gates. But this team is extremely good, and while they are the third seed, Franz Wagner is the absolute best player on this team. Now, some of this kind of comes, I think, from his time over in the Olympics when he was playing for Team Germany, and he was the number one option, was the go-to guy. We saw a lot of big highlight plays, like a lot of crazy dunks, and teams had to focus in on him because he was the main guy. And obviously, there was Olympic Schroeder, but Franz was the guy. In every single game that Germany played, you had to stop him. And he had a lot of weight on his, a lot of pressure on his shoulders, a lot of weight on his shoulders, had to show up, had to shoot well. And even when his shots weren't falling, he was still finding a way to be successful. And that's what he has done over this last handful of games, these last stretch of games. When Paolo Banchero went down, this team had a gut check. They had to look at themselves in the mirror. They were on their way to trying to fulfill Paolo Banchero's expectations, right? Make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. They wanted to put their best foot forward. They have Jalen Suggs out there being that point guard of the future. And for the most part, they looked pretty decent. They weren't perfect, but they looked pretty decent. And when he went down in those 2 games after that, the team did not break 90 points. The team struggled mightily. It was really, really bad, to the point where we didn't know how or when this losing streak would end. But Franz picked it up after the dropping, 4 or 5 games. And in the last half of those games, you saw an improvement from him. And that was something that has definitely carried over into the games that we see now. Let's go take a look at what he is averaging for the season. It's kind of amazing. He's averaging 23 points per game, 5.5 boards, 5.5 assists. The 5.5 assist numbers is super good, but it's not as good as the 3-point percentage, which is at 35% for Franz. And the concerns that we had this year or leading into this year, that is one of the best signs that you can have from him, because obviously we were very, very, very concerned about paying him money and having him not produce with an outside shot. He has shown that he can shoot the 3, or at least shoot it at a decent volume and at a decent clip. And he is certainly averaging more than those 23 points per game over the last 10 games. He's playing extremely well. The game last night against the Los Angeles Lakers was a game of runs, just like in any other NBA. LeBron James and Anthony Davis combined for a 12-0 run at some point in that game. Anthony Davis was having his way with Benatze. LeBron dunked on Isaac at some point too, and there was parts of this game that definitely the Magic could have let slip away, but it was consistently Franz Wagner and his just clutch bucket getting play that down the stretch gave the Orlando Magic the win. You scored 20 points in the fourth quarter. I'm going to give you the MVP for the game. Now, I did also see, and I wanted to mention it because I think it's a very fun conversation to have. I opened this talking about what is his ceiling, what can he be. I do think that an All-NBA selection can be on the horizon. I don't know if this batch of games is going to be forgotten by the end of the year. Obviously, it's only a batch of games. There are 82 games in an NBA season, so there's a lot of sample size that needs to be taken into account, and this is not the majority of it. But if this continues and it's not forgotten because it's at the beginning of the season, I don't see why he couldn't make an All-NBA third team. I really do think that is going to be the level of recognition he is going to start getting. He's already started to get a lot of recognition. You hit a game-winning shot with 3 seconds left against the Los Angeles Lakers, you're going to get some media attention. You're going to get some buzz. And even though the Orlando Magic are not on a lot of primetime games, and just in general, the NBA is competing with the NFL, he's going to get that good press, that good PR. So we'll see if it can hold up. That'll be the question that I posed to you guys down in the comments. What ceiling do you see for Franz this year? And also, do you have any concerns if Paolo comes back? But I don't. They work still really well, especially when either of them, one of them, just one of them, can shoot that outside shot and have those falling. They work really well. I think his ceiling can be all NBA third team, and I think that is really, really great. Now, this has been a very positive episode, so I'm going to leave it at that. Hopefully, the Orlando Magic can continue their winning ways, so when Paolo Banchero comes back, they could be in shouting distance or in reaching or within reach of the second seed in the Eastern Conference. Obviously, things can change. Injuries may still also happen. We're still monitoring most of the rotation, but the team looks really good. So, with that, running out of time. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys next time with more Orlando Magic basketball content.